Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to another in our series, In the Light of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. In this segment of our program, as usual, we continue to look at the questions which have been directed to us from you as viewers, through the emails, through the letters, on the telephone, from lectures. And we're starting off with a question from one of the sisters. Dear Dr. Bilal, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When a man marries more than one, even when they do not have the circumstances, the money, or the emotional readiness for it, but want to just to do it because it's allowed in Islam, what's the ruling against them? Well, if a person marries without the means, then they have committed a great injustice. First and foremost, there should be a means. A man should be economically capable of taking a second wife before doing so. If he's not economically able, then it means that he's going to oppress both of his wives, or one of them. And this is, of course, not permissible. The Prophet said that the husband who's not just on the Day of Judgment, he's going to come with half of his body hanging down, dragging half of his body. Of course, if he's emotionally not able, this just compounds the problem. To marry a second wife just because it's allowed, but it's not allowed without conditions. Those conditions have to do with ability. They don't have to do with family giving permission or wife giving permission, true, but they do have to do with the ability to have such a relationship, a marriage, in a form which is pleasing to Allah, which is legitimate. So these basic requirements of material circumstances, emotional capability to handle it, these are important. To take a second wife just merely to punish the first wife, for example, some people do this, unfortunately. They punish their first wife and say, okay, I'm going to take a second wife, and I will leave you. They'll leave them hanging, don't look after them, and they only take care of the second wife. This, of course, is completely un-Islamic. If a man takes a second wife, the first wife's treatment should not change. They should be treated equally. The second question, dear Dr. Phillips, could you please answer this question for us, as you have been answering many questions in a very nice way on your program. Can males listen to Islamic lectures on audio cassettes given by female scholars? For example, Quranic translations and explanations. Yeah, it is permissible. This is not something forbidden. Aisha, among the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, Salama, and others taught the Tabi'een, the people of the next generation. They studied under them. They took information about Islam from them. And there were scholars in all of the generations that followed who were females, who taught either hadith or they taught, other sciences, etc., Islamic areas of Islamic learning. And men studied under them. So the idea that, to listen to the voice of a female is not permissible, this is something which I think is an extreme position which has developed in more recent times. In terms of singing, if the woman is singing, of course, it's not permissible for a man to listen to the singing voice of an adult female. But in terms of lecture information, she's passing on information which is not available elsewhere, for example, she's giving out useful information, then for a person to listen to that, there is no harm Islamically, nothing has been forbidden of that sort. Then, of course, when she gives the lecture, whenever she gives lectures, in any case, Woman has to be careful in terms of her voice, how she presents herself, so that it be in as business-like a fashion as possible. My next question, which is from Ajman, brother writes, Dear Dr. Bilal, we appreciate your program on Sharjah Television. It has answered many questions for us. Could you please explain for me the following two questions? Number one, can you please explain, is Mashrik Millionaire halal or haram, and why? The Mashrik Millionaire. These kind of programs where people are encouraged to put their monies in banks which are based on interest, obviously such a program would not be acceptable Islamically. The Islamic banks like Dubai Islamic Bank, Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank, these are the banks in which our money should be put. To put the money in for a chance of winning this millionaire shilling, this is we're putting our money in a bank for, if we're already putting the money in the bank, for example, for protection purposes, accessibility, so it is in a current account where we're not drawing interest, that's one thing. A number of scholars also even hold this is not permissible. Although if you say as a basic level that we're not collecting interest from it, it's just the money is being stored there and made accessible for us. Okay, if we say that that's permissible and we're already in the bank, that's one thing. But now to join the bank simply because of this possibility of becoming a millionaire, and losing the money has to be left for a set period of time, knowing that, of course, to do that, they're going to take interest out of it and benefit from it themselves. Such a program, Islamically speaking, is not really acceptable. We should try to put our monies in banks which follow Islamic principles, and protect our rights before Allah. Question number two, is Salat al-Hajjah correct to pray at the time of Hajjah or not? Because I have read in the fatwa for Muslim women that there is no such prayer recommended by Prophet Muhammad. Well, that is exactly true. There is no such prayer called Salat al-Hajjah. Now, you may find it in some books, even a dua, which is supposed to be from the Prophet Muhammad, is mentioned, but these narrations are not authentic. They are false narrations, and as such, we don't have, according to the Sharia, any legitimate prayer called Salat al-Hajjah. Hajjah being a need, meaning the prayer of need. But we pray to God in need. Anyway, when we say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim in our Surah al-Fatiha, in our regular prayers, asking Allah to guide us in the straight path. This is based on a need that we have. We need to be guided. So all of our prayers become Salat al-Hajjah. In general, when we make our daily prayers, we should be turning to Allah in our times of need. So they all become, in some way or another, a prayer of need. But a specific prayer by that name, by that title, designated by Prophet Muhammad with special dua, special supplication, etc., there is no such thing. Question, what is your opinion about colored contact lenses? Now, this area, colored contact lenses, of course, as a basic practice, we can say there's nothing haram in it. It is okay. If a person wants to wear colored contact lenses, in and of themselves are okay. So if we get colored ones, meaning that it will give your eyes another appearance. Your eyes, which are normally the irises, which are normally brown, they now look blue or gray or green or whatever. This is permissible to do. Well, as I said, on the general principle, we can say yes. However, when we are doing it, this for women, for example, she's doing that. This is making her more attractive. So this is a means of making her more attractive. It is her intent to put it on to become more attractive. Then we have a question here of her, what is her intention here? If she's going outside, she's exposing herself, it's not in front of her maharim, she's trying to attract attention to herself, an attention which, Islamically speaking, outside of her home, he should not be doing. Secondly, when a person changes their eye color, we consider the Prophet ﷺ, had taught us whenever we look at ourselves in the mirror, we should say, Allahumma kama Prsenter khalqi fahassin khuluqi. Oh Allah, as you have made good my physical appearance, make my character also good. So now a person who's changing their eye color, can we really honestly make this dua which the Prophet recommend? Because we're sort of looking at our eyes and saying, well, blue is not brown, so I don't really like brown. I think blue eyes would be better for me, or green, or gray, or whatever. I'm not happy with how Allah has made me.